candles for a house on fire. Kept lighting candles in a burning house, kept rearranging flowers on a sinking ship. I kept whispering your name into the silence, like a prayer I couldn't let slip. I knew the walls were crumbling around us, I could smell the smoke before the flame. But I kept setting the table for two people who had long since stopped being the same. There's a kind of love that knows it's already over, but refuses to believe the evidence it holds. There's a kind of heart that stays inside the burning building, because the fire is the only warmth it knows. I lit candles for a house on fire. I dressed the wound and called it healed. I sang softly to a dying silence, called the feel of something growing, something that would save us in the end. I lit candles for a house on fire, and I would light them all again, because the burning was the brightest we had ever been. I bought new curtains in the month of October, the month the ceiling started showing cracks. I painted over edge, I got so skilled at covering the tracks of something broken living in a butane exterior. I fooled the neighborhood, I fooled my mother, I very nearly fooled my own interior. But 3M has no curtains on its windows, and truth walks freely in the dark. And I would lie there in the smoking embers, feeling every fracture in my heart. I lit candles for a house on fire. I dressed the wound and called it healed. I sang softly to a dying silence, called the feel of something growing, something that would save us in the end. I lit candles for a house on fire, and I would light them all again, because the burning was the brightest we had ever been. Now the candle's long extinguished. I stand in remains of what we were, and the strangest strange things, how the open sky above the ruin, there was a sky above us all along, hidden by our burning, hidden by our roof. I lit candles for a house on fire. I do it all again, I do it all again. Someone else is getting your good morning. I used to be the first voice in your morning, the one you reached for before you were awake. I used to be the coffee and the quiet, the first warmth before the day could take whatever it was going to take from you. I was the start of things, I was the yes. Now I wake to my own name in my own mouth, and silence where you used to be my yes. Someone else is getting your good morning. Someone else is getting their first smile. Someone else is lying where I used to. Someone else is yours for now a while. And I don't hate her, I just miss being her. I just miss being the beginning of your day. Someone else is getting your good morning. You're half asleep, your eyes not open yet. Someone else is learning all your early habits, the ones you think that nobody has met. The mumbling and the reaching, the way you need 10 minutes to be human. And I would give almost anything to be unmarkable and ordinary in your life again, in your morning again, just yours again. Still wake at the time I woke beside you. The body is a faithful, foolish thing. It rises for a life it no longer lives in. It prepares for a day you're no longer in. I make one cup now, 1 cup every morning, and the kettle boiling sounds like something wrong, like a note played in an empty concert hall where a song used to belong. Maybe she drinks her coffee differently. Maybe she doesn't need the quiet first. Maybe she talks in the morning easily, and maybe that's exactly what you searched for when you left the silence of my mornings for a morning that was louder, lighter, new. I hope it's everything you needed. I hope the morning fits you. I hope it fits you better than I do. Good morning to the life you have without me. Good morning. The weight of almost. We were almost something extraordinary. We were almost what I prayed for every night. We were almost the great love of my story. We were almost standing in the right light, so close that I could taste the future, so close that I had named the year thing I wanted, and almost is the loneliest word instead. Almost is not a comfort, almost is the cruelest measurement. Almost means your destination and still chose to stay in the space before arriving. Almost means you wanted to but didn't, and the didn't is the part that breaks me. The weight of almost is heavier than ever. There was nothing left. The weight of almost knows exactly what it's missing, has the precise dimensions of the thing it didn't get to be. Almost held my hand, almost said my name right, almost was the door that almost opened into something real. The weight of almost sits inside my chest like a word that never made it to the sentence where it heals. I replay the moments of our almost like a film that ends before the final scene. The music swells, the characters are leaning, and then the credits roll on what could have been. I have watched that ending more times than is reasonable. I keep expecting it to change. I keep expecting almost to become enough, to become a real thing with a name. Somewhere in a life I didn't get to live. We finished where we started, somewhere in a version of the story. Almost crossed the threshold and became. Then I live in this version where I carry the weight of that version like a coat that belongs to someone in a warmer place. Almost the heaviest word I know. Almost. Paper spine. I have a paper spine. I bend in every wind you send my way. I fold along the lines you put in me. I crease and I comply, and I told myself that flexible was loving, that bending was the same as being strong. But paper spines don't hold up under the weight of someone wrong. They just crease a little further until the crease becomes a tear, and the tear becomes a silence, and the silence becomes everywhere. You didn't know you were doing it, or maybe that's a kindness I invented. You shaped me by your preferences so slowly that I barely felt the editing, until I held myself up to the light and saw how many of my edges were yours, and none of them were mine. Paper spine, I've been for you. Paper spine, I folded the shape that fits your hands the best. Paper spine, I wore your creases like they were my own, like they belonged to me, like I had chosen them. Paper spine, so thin by the end that the light came through me. And even then, I called it beautiful. Even then, I called it love. The recovery is not dramatic. There is no snapping back to original form. Paper once folded holds the memory of every shape it took inside the storm. I am unfolding slowly, running fingers along the old creases, trying to remember what I looked like before I learned to make myself whatever he needed. I am not paper anymore, or I am learning not to be. I am learning the word no as a complete and valid sentence. I am learning that love should not require you to make yourself smaller, smaller, thinner, more transparent. Every time someone needs the light to pass through you, paper spine, learning to be bone, still creased, whist art, but mine. You said forever on a Thursday evening. We were sitting on the steps outside. You said it like it cost you nothing. You said it like it wasn't a promise that would eventually divide into the before and the after, into the person who believed you and the person who survived. The day after forever came so quietly. No ceremony, no announcement, no event. Just a Wednesday where forever wasn't mentioned, and a Thursday where I knew what Thursday meant. Forever has a day after. Nobody tells you that. Nobody tells you that forever has a morning where it's just a word that someone said on steps outside a building, on a night that felt like it would last. The day after forever looks exactly like the day before. The coffee maker still runs its cycle. The cycle, the sunlight still comes through the door. The world does not acknowledge that forever just expired. The day after forever is the most ordinary devastation, is the most invisible ending, is the Tuesday that arrives after a promise that meant everything and became nothing, without announcement, without reason, without a proper goodbye. I still have the photo from that Thursday, the steps, the evening light, your face. I hidden someone trying that time and place. They don't show or finally fails the test. If I could go back to that Thursday, I would not ask you not to say it. I would not ask you not to say it. I would just know to hold it differently, the way you hold a thing that you already know will someday have a day after. The day after forever came and went without a word. Just another Wednesday, just another word. I learned learned your silence like a second language, became fluent in the things you didn't say. I could translate a pause into an answer, could read a distant look and know your meaning from across the room, across the day. I conjured dated all your disappearances, I knew the grammar of your pulling away. I was so fluent in your silence, I forgot that I had things I needed to say. What a strange skill to develop, what a painful kind of gift, to understand someone so completely in the language of the closed door, in the dialect of the too long pause, in the vocabulary of absence. I spoke it better than my mother tongue by the end. Fluent in your silence, I forgot the sound of mine. Fluent in your silence, I spent all my time translating and interpreting, decoding every sign. Fluent in your silence, I became so good at reading you. Forgot the language that was native to the person before you. Forgot the words I used to know before I learned to speak in what you wouldn't say. I still catch myself doing it, reading silences that aren't yours, interpreting the pauses of strangers, looking for your grammar in other people's floors. The fluency stays longer than the language needs to. The skill outlives the love by several years. I am unlearning your particular quiet, slowly replacing your silence with my own, and learning that my own silence is gentler, warmer, and mine. There is a silence that is chosen and a silence that is imposed. There is a quiet that is peaceful and a quiet that is a door closed. And I am learning now the difference. I am learning what my own quiet sounds like when it is not shaped around the whole of everything you wouldn't say. Fluent in your silence, learning my own language now. Learning my own language. Learning my own language. I kept the porch light on for far too long, for someone who had no intention of returning. I checked the driveway in the dark on countless nights for headlights that were somewhere else, somewhere turned towards something that was not the life we had been building. Not the door I kept illuminating, not the home I kept on holding. There is a specific kind of waiting that happens in the body, not the mind. The mind has made its peace, drawn its conclusions, but the body waits regardless. The body leaves the light on. The body hears a car outside and lifts before remembering. I kept the porch light on long after I knew you weren't coming. I kept the porch light on because turning it off something meant the waiting was officially over. Then I had accepted what I didn't want to be the truth. I kept the porch light on for you, and then I kept it on for the habit, and then I kept it on because the dark outside was darker than the dark inside. Without the small bright proof that someone still expected something, the electricity bill became a kind of grief tax, the price I paid for not accepting yet. I calculated once how much it cost me to keep hoping at $1 per reset. But hope is not a rational transaction, and grief is not a budget I could keep. I kept the porch light burning through the winter, long past the point of sense, long past the point of sleep. The night I finally turned it off. Nothing happened, no ceremony, no revelation. I just reached for the switch and the porch went dark, and the stars were still there, and the world continued. And I stood in the dark for a moment, and then I went inside, and that was all, and that was everything. The porch is dark now, the porch has been dark for a long time. I sleep better, I sleep better. Everything soft reminds me of you. A cashmere sweater in a store last autumn, a blanket folded in a certain way, the light that comes through curtains on a Sunday, the specific warmth of the end of day. Everything soft reminds me of you. Every gentle thing carries trace, every texture that has warmth and yielding puts your absence in its place. Grief is sensory in ways no one prepares you for. It lives in fabric, it lives in light, it lives in the temperature of a room at dusk. It lives in anything that isn't quite as hard as what the world has been since you became a memory. Everything soft is a doorway I accidentally walking through into the life I had with you. Everything soft reminds me of you. Every gentle color, every quiet room, every flower before it turns to bloom. I cannot touch a tender thing without your name or rhyme the feeling. Everything soft reminds me of you, and the world is made of softer things than I would like, when all the soft things still belong to losing you. I tried to make my life harder for a while, harder edges, faster pace, less yield. I cut the softness from my daily textures, thinking concrete might be better sealed against the constant access point of missing. But I am a soft person fundamentally, and hardness only made the grief more vivid, because I could feel the absence of everything that used to come so easily. I'm learning to let soft things be just soft things. I'm learning that a blanket is a blanket. I'm learning that the Sunday light is Sunday light. And sometimes it's just warmth without your name in it. And sometimes it reminds me and I let it. And it passes and the softness stays. And so do I. Everything's soft still sometimes, still you, still gentle with it now. How? Conversation we never finished. There's a conversation sitting in the middle of me that we started but we never saw the end. We were somewhere in the difficult part, the part where things get honest and get hard, the part that comes before the mending, and then the mending never came. Just the difficult part hanging open like a door in a house without a frame. Unfinished conversations are the ones that follow you the longest. The ones with clear resolutions are the ones that rest. But the one we left in the middle of a Tuesday sits inside my chest like a sentence with no period, like a question that was never given time to be addressed. The conversation we never finished lies between my ribs. The conversation we never finished is the thing that sometimes gives me reason to imagine running into you, to finally say the thing that's been half spoken for this long, have the truth in it. I know just lives in me, unwitnessed and unheard. A conversation in one person is just a thought that hurts. I finished it 1,000 different ways. In the shower, on the drive at 4 a.m. I've said my part so many times in silence that I know it like a song I didn't pen. But you don't have a version, you don't have the conversation. You stepped out before the difficult part landed, and I have been standing in it ever since, holding both sides of a thing that needed to. Maybe the conversation was never mine to finish. Maybe some things are meant to stay mid-sentence. Maybe the healing is not in the final word, but in the grace of learning that not every wound requires a closing argument. Not every truth requires a witness to be true. The conversation we never finished, I'm letting it end here, mid-sentence, and that has to be enough. The mind has moved ahead with its life. It has new routines, new mornings, new light. It has learned new streets and new coffee shops. It has learned to sleep through the whole of the night. But the heart is a slower kind of traveler. The heart arrives late to every new beginning, still carrying what the mind has long ago let go. I don't blame it for the loyalty it keeps. The mind can logic its way out of loving, but the heart loves in its sleep. My heart sets a place for you at every table I sit down to. My heart still leaves the window cracked the way you liked it. My heart still holds a space in every room I've moved into. My heart still sets a place for you. Not because I haven't healed, not because I haven't, not because I don't know that you are God and not returning. My heart sets a place for you because the heart is not the mind and love is not a light switch. And some people leave a shape in you that stays set long after they have gone. I've been good at most of the recovering, the visible parts, the social parts, the day. I laugh at things and mean it mostly. I have come a genuinely long way. But sometimes in the quiet between activities, in the gap between one moment and the next, I find the heart still quiet, preparing, still holding space, still whispering, not yet. And I am learning to be gentle with the heart, the way you're gentle with someone who loved too much and lost it, the way you speak softly to a child who doesn't understand why something wonderful had to end. I am learning to sit with the heart in its slow and faithful waiting and say, I know it's okay to still be setting the place. We'll move when we're ready, we'll move when we're ready. My heart still sets a place for you, and I am learning to be okay with that. My heart still sets a place for you, it's a fact. Not a wound, not a weakness, just the truth of how I loved. My heart still sets a place for you. I am sitting down beside it, I am sitting down beside it instead of fighting it. And that is how the healing finally starts. Still setting the place, learning to sit beside it, not fighting anymore, not fighting anymore.